Hello, and welcome to your next episode of the East Kentucky Works podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jennifer Breeze.
And I'm Jaeclinn Kiser, and we are super excited to have Adam Bowman as our guest today. He is a professional jockey and is a former client of one of our contractors, KCEOC. So, hey, Adam, thank you for speaking with us today.
Of course, it's great to be on with you guys today. It's my pleasure.
That's awesome. We're super excited to pick your brain. I feel like, being a jockey, that's not something that we normally see going through the career center. So this is super cool for us.
Yeah, it's definitely something different. I kind of just got the itch for horses and the itch for bugs, and kind of took me by surprise. Honestly, when I started riding, I didn't even know what I wanted to do, and being a smaller guy, and somebody threw the idea be a jockey, and I was like, hey, but I'll give it a shot.
That's awesome. So we understand that, a key point early on, you connected with KCEOC Community Action Partnerships, in the Kentucky Career Center. Could you just share what your circumstances were during that period, and what led you to seek their help?
Well, I was living in Kentucky for a couple years, and I was just looking for help to go to school to help pay for schooling, and it was one of the best options I had to help me out. And I mean, I was very thankful to get the help I did. And, without that, I would have been in a huge hole financially and everything else. Starting off my career in riding, and would have definitely set me back a little bit.
So, when you came to KCEOC, did you already know you wanted to be a jockey at that point, or did they kind of help you figure that out?
I had already had it in my mind. I had talked to some people about riding, and there was the I don't know if it's still there, but the National Association sorry. The North American Racing Academy. It's in Lexington. And they run through the heck college is it in? One of the community colleges in Lexington. But they run out of there. I'm not sure if it's still there or not, but that's where I ended up going to college and learning how to ride, and just being around the horses and whatnot.
So, take me back a little bit. Were you just fresh out of high school when this all happened, or were you already in the workforce doing something else?
I graduated. I was out of school for a year, and I had graduated, and I was doing kind of trying to do construction, but I couldn't really get a job, couldn't settle down with a job. Nobody ever really took me serious because I'm 5 foot nothing, and nobody ever, you can't do the job, you can't do the job. And honestly, somebody was just joking around with me one day and say, you're sure? Why don't you try to become a jockey? And I never thought about it in my life. And I was like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. Why not? And then I went to the school, and kind of just made my way, did the motions the first couple weeks trying to figure it all out, because I had never sat on a horse, and at that point I was 19, and I might have sat on a pony when I was 5. So yeah, I kind of figured it out, and I fell in love with the horses, and here I am. It's been maybe almost 20 years now. I've been riding, yeah, close to 20 years later, so
That's
still doing it.
incredible. Yeah. Let's go back to KCEOC a little bit. What kind of services did you utilize through them? Whether that was work experience or career counseling, skill assessment, job search help, clothing. What did they ultimately help you with in those areas?
Mostly they helped me out financially with helping me pay for school. Because really nobody knew about the horse racing school, horse racing community. It was kind of like a diamond in the rough, to be honest with you. There was, in my class, we started with 20 kids, and 4 of us finished. But yeah, they
Gosh.
helped me out a lot financially with that. Mostly, and I mean, like I said, I'm more grateful than anything that they could help me out, and it didn't set me back when I was able to get out of school. And in this career, it's hit or miss. You can swing and hit a home run, or you can keep swinging and you fall in the dirt, and you're not making a lot of money. So it's very tough.
I can imagine it'd be a lot of pressure, and if you had student loans hanging over your head while
Definitely.
you're navigating that, it would be
Definitely.
really hard. So I'm so glad they were able to help you with getting through school. And I was talking to our executive director, Becky Miller, and she remembers you from back then. And she said that was not something we'd ever done for anybody, but we found the college that could do it, and we set them up, and she's very proud of you and excited for how far you've come.
I appreciate it.
So looking back on the entire journey, how significant was your initial interaction with KCEOC and the Kentucky Career Center in shaping your career path?
Looking back, when I first approached KCOC, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what they did and what their purpose was and what they could do. And with talking to them, they helped me out a lot, with figuring out honestly with who I am, what I wanted to do with myself, and then financially, they helped me out a lot, as a person, and just figuring out my life and where I wanted to go and what would best suit me as a person and my ventures in through life.
Yeah, I think when we talk to people, a lot of people are like, I didn't even know what the Kentucky Career Center was, or I didn't even know how to contact them. So, the fact that you didn't know who they were, but you fell upon them and they helped you out, that's so awesome.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, so you built goodness gracious, a long and successful career as a jockey with thousands of races under your belt. What concrete steps, if any, you know, did KCOC help you to explore or decide on pursuing the jockey career? You talked about it a little bit, but
What did they help me with pursuing it? Other than financially, just like I said, personally, helped me figure out what I wanted to do and how that all that came about. Um, with helping me in my living situations when I moved to Lexington, because I had to live up there, and just mainly stuff like that. Honestly, it's kind of boring to be honest. Okay, but
No, not.
they helped me out immensely, immensely for sure.
So I would love to know just about your career. Like, when did you have your first win in your race, and what is your career path looked like since you started, your days in Lexington?
So I think I graduated from school, the jockey school in 2011. Uh, and then I ended up going to no, I went on an internship. I went on an internship to Philadelphia Park, so that's where I'm at right now. And I worked there. They put me on an internship there, and I worked there for 6 months for John Service, which he Hall of Fame trainer. He trained Smarty Jones, who won the Kentucky Derby. So I worked for him for 6 months, and then I wanted to go out on my own and ride races. So I went to Ohio. I moved back to Ohio, and I rode at River Downs at the time, which is now Belterra Park. And I rode my first race there. The horse's name was Dirty Water Dogs. I think it was like 20-1. I ran fourth. Then a couple days later, I rode my first winner, and that was probably in June of 2011. I rode my first winner. Uh, Amazing experience. There's no thrill like winning a race. There's no thrill like riding a horse. I can't explain it to anything. It's just amazing.
I can't imagine. Do you have a strong relationship with the horses? Like, do you work with them for quite a while before you start racing them, or?
Um, Usually I get on horses every day in the morning. So you get a connection with the horses. But sometimes they just throw you to the wolves. I have an agent that I pay, that when I get paid I pay him, and he helps hustle my mounts and helps find me horses to ride. So sometimes I might not even know what the horse looks like before I get down and race day on the paddock. I'll come down, I'll talk to the trainer, and that's the first time I've ever seen the horse in my life. And you have a quick 2 minutes in the post parade to get to know this horse and kind of figure him out a little bit, figure out what she likes, and go from there. But I do have a couple favorite horses that I get on every single day religiously that I love to death, and I would do anything for them.
any of them have cool names?
My favorite horse is Beach Days. She
Oh,
gave
that's
me
a
my
good
first
one.
stakes win. Yeah, she gave me my first stakes win, and she's near and dear to my heart. I probably won like 10 races on her, and I'm the only jockey, only person who's sat on her or rode her for the last 5 years. So she's very special to me.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So we talked about your first win a little bit. Can you recall some early milestones, maybe even your first official race or the moment that you kind of felt truly established working as a jockey?
You know, it took me a long time as a jockey to actually feel established because in the world of racing, I don't know if you know, your first full year of racing is it's called your bug year. So you get a weight allowance. So like as a journeyman rider, after you've rode for a year, you ride with a weight, and but as a bug, you get like 10 pounds, 5 pounds off of all the other riders because you're inexperienced. So they give you a little bit of a weight allowance. So honestly, my first year and a half of riding, I was still figuring it out. It took me a long time to figure out, and not necessarily how to ride, but there's so many strategies to riding and the quirks of the horses and races, and it took me a long time to actually figure out and establish myself as like a veteran rider. But milestones, my first 100 wins, uh first 1,000 races I rode, you know, I've rode over 5,000 races and I'm still learning. Every day I get on a horse and my heart starts to pump a little bit more, and I've learned how to control it. That is one thing. I've learned how to control my heart rate because the horses, they can feel you. That is one thing. If you're nervous, they're nervous, and you don't want them to be nervous. So, for my first stakes win, it's been a journey. I've moved around a lot, so that's been fun. I got to see a lot of parts of the country and talk to a lot of people, and it's been fun.
It sounds amazing. Like, this is so fascinating to me because,
Okay.
like, as somebody who doesn't, I'm not necessarily in the horse world, so, like, I've seen Seabiscuit and I've been to Keeneland, but I know,
It's
I
it's a
don't.
really, really big world, and they actually just came out with a documentary series on Netflix about the race for the crown. It's really, really interesting. It gives a whole new look to the racing world, and yeah, it's pretty neat.
We're definitely gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, yeah, I'm writing it down right now because that sounds so, um would you walk us through, like, what does a typical day in the life of a jockey look like? You mentioned that you do have some horses that you ride, but what does your typical day look like? Or a typical week,
Uh,
maybe?
yeah, my typical day, it starts out honestly around 4 o'clock in the morning. I usually wake up. I live about half an hour from the racetrack, so I wake up at 4 a.m. It's honestly I rush. I get dressed and get out the door to get to the racetrack. The racetrack opens up around 6 o'clock in the morning. So I get there a little early. I walk around, I talk to some trainers, hustling, shaking hands, just trying to sell myself because every day, doesn't matter how good you did the day before, you have to sell yourself the very next day because it's about what have you done for me now in the racing world. So I'll get on 6, 7, 8 horses in the morning, uh, just exercising horses, getting them, training them, getting them ready for the races. Then that's about 10 o'clock. I get done with my morning work. I'll get a quick lunch. I'll go to the gym. I go work out for like an hour in the gym, get myself loose and ready for the races. Then about 12:30 is the first race of the day, and it varies. I could ride one race a day. I could ride 7 races a day. Every day's different. So I'll look at the program, handicap races, try to figure out where my horses fit in that race, and go from there, and then ride my races, and hopefully get lucky and win a couple.
Can you tell when you meet a horse, like, this one's a winner, like, or this is his day, or, um,
Yeah,
do you ever get vibes
honestly,
about that?
some days I can get on a horse, and they're just like people. I get on them and I sit on their back, and sometimes they're really frisky and they're really jumping and they're jumping around like, all right, she, they're gonna have a good day today. They're gonna run really good. And other days I can get on them and they just seem tired and they seem sluggish, and like I it's just not gonna be their day. But a lot of people say, oh, the jockeys always know. They know who's gonna win. They know who's gonna win. They're no way. because every single jock that's up there that's in that race, they all want to win. It's their livelihood. This is how they make money for their families and everything else. So everybody, it's a very cutthroat business. I mean, we're best friends when we're in the jocks room, but when we're out on the racetrack, we're enemies. It's every inch, every step. Is we're shooting for the stars.
That's so interesting. And so, and is this turning out to be like a sustainable career? Are you able to live like the lifestyle you want to live doing this, or?
Yeah, it's been very sustainable. I think been riding races for close to 13 years. If not, I think I might be going on 14 years now, honestly. And I've been able. I bought a house. I have 4 kids, married. I've lived a very a healthy lifestyle with my career, but it's got a lot of dangers and a lot of risks to it as well. I've had friends that have fallen, and I've had a couple friends who were paralyzed from racing. I had another friend who died a couple years ago from falling off a horse in a race, and it's also very dangerous. So, honestly, put the money aside. I'm grateful to just come home to my kids every single night and be dad. That's what I look forward to the most, is just being dad.
That's
We agree. We're not dads, but as as moms, like that's what it all boils down to. But um, so I think you might have already answered this, but I make sure I'm not just making assumptions. What is the most like rewarding aspect of being a jockey for you?
Um, Put the money aside, just winning a race. Crossing the line in front, knowing you beat everybody else out there, even though sometimes you're not on the best horse, you'd still win a race because you can say, "Oh, I outsmarted this guy." I rode a smarter race, and the euphoria of crossing the line in front and having all your adrenaline pumping, and uh, there's nothing I can compare it to. I mean, I'm a thrill seeker. I like to go fast. I roller coasters, fast cars, but there's something about riding a horse, going 40 miles an hour on the back of a horse, and you have nothing but your feet in the irons, a tiny helmet, and a little vest. And, you're hoping for the best. You're squeezing through little tight holes and, doing everything you can to win.
gosh, that's crazy to think about. Like you are just on that horse, nothing is holding you on there. That's crazy. Really puts that into perspective. I think people, have an assumption about jockeys like, oh, they're just riding a horse, like it's fun, but you guys go through a lot.
It's a very rigorous, profession. Everybody thinks that as we're just sitting down on the horse, and
Right.
I
That
mean
is
that's
not the
when
case.
everybody's, oh, they're just sitting down on the horse does all the work. But when you think about it, next time you watch the races, you get into a squatting position and hold it for 2 minutes. Because essentially that's what we're doing. We're in a squatting position holding a 1,200-pound animal, and we have to tell them when it's time to run and when it's time to slow down and where to go, turn right, turn left. And they have a brain of their own. I mean, sometimes I wish they were like cars and they had brakes and turn signals, but sometimes they want to do what they want to do, and you just kind of have to hang on and go for the ride.
Yeah, you're definitely putting a lot of trust in them.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially when like you said, sometimes you meet a horse right before you race, and that to me is crazy.
Yeah. Sometimes I get on horses and I'll get up to them. I'll give them a pat on the head, give them a little kiss on the nose, and say, "All right, trust me, and I'm gonna trust you."
Yeah. Yeah, that's insane. So, based on your own experience of finding a path, what advice would you offer to people in Kentucky, particularly in areas served by EKCEP, who might be unemployed, underemployed, or seeking, a significant career change?
Um, just ask for help. You might not know what you want to do, and even when you're doing it, you might not, I don't really like this, and don't be scared to ask for help and look for change, because there can always be something better. You know, if you're not happy with what you're doing, look for something else. If you want to do something different, it's not that hard. People people love to help people. In my experience, I mean, you come across some people who don't, but in general, people there's good people out there, and they want to help. They want to help you. So that's how I look. It doesn't hurt to ask. What's the worst somebody's gonna say? No. So they say no. You ask somebody else. It's you try not to get your feelings hurt and just keep going. I've learned a lot. I've learned about a lot about that myself over the last 13 years riding races, because you really have to put yourself out there as a jockey. You have to ask people, hey, do you need help? Do you want help? And you really got to put yourself out there. And a lot of people say, well, they're going to say no. Well, people are going to say no, but it's okay. It's okay to take no and just keep moving on. Go to the next person, because the right door is going to open eventually for whatever you're looking for. And when it does, don't open it slowly. Kick it down. Kick the door down and go through. Assert yourself.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah, that's a perfect soundbite right there. In fact, I'm gonna make a T-shirt for myself.
Well,
Kick it
Adam,
down.
do you have anything else that you would like to talk to us about? Anything we missed that you wanted to speak on?
No, you guys covered a lot. I really appreciate you guys having me on today. It was a pleasure. That takes me back to my roots to Kentucky, which I really miss, and I need to come back soon. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on and taking time out of your busy day and your busy schedule to speak with us as well.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so that is all we have for you guys today. If you're looking for a job, want to advance your career, or if you're a business leader looking for skilled workers, EKCEP is here for you. You can find more information about EKCEP and all of our services at ekcep.org, or visit your local Kentucky Career Center, and you'll find the links to everything we mentioned today in the show notes. Have a great day, Eastern Kentucky, and let's get to work.